Oh, we got the demo too.
Hmm?
We got the demo too.
Oh, we gotta be good on that demo too.
We could also probably do it. Yeah, we could go by bumps too if we want, probably.
Hey everybody, welcome to the second annual Richmond Inno on Fire celebration, coming live from my bedroom. I'm Will Flanagan, Director of Product and Strategy at American Inno, and I'm kicking us off virtually today. Thank you so much for joining us. Is this anyone's first time at an Inno event? We're going to be launching a poll, so excited to see some new and some old names pop up over the next couple minutes. So welcome everybody. For anybody unfamiliar with us and what we do, Inno is part of a growing network of sites. We're currently in 14 markets, and we're committed to covering and connecting local technology, startups, growth, and innovation. Richmond Inno has been covering the Richmond ecosystem since July 2018, and we do that through daily stories, twice weekly newsletter, quarterly events, and more. Check us out at richmondinno.com to see what we're all about and sign up for The Beat, which is our twice a week newsletter. The Beat is the best way to stay plugged into everything that's impacting the local innovation economy. In it, you'll get the local tech and startup news you need, analysis you won't find anywhere else, info on upcoming events and cool job openings, and much, much more. It's all packaged in a fun conversational manner. Next, I just want to take a moment to thank some folks who really helped make this event happen. BDO, a founding partner of ours. BDO delivers assurance, tax, and financial advisory services to clients throughout the country and around the globe. They offer numerous industry-specific practices, world-class resources, and an unparalleled commitment to meeting their clients' needs. They've been with us since the very beginning, and they're huge supporters of ours in the local innovation economy. If you're scaling and need any of the services I just listed, please check them out. Activation Capital, another important founding partner of ours, as an anchor for the knowledge-based innovation and entrepreneurial community. They provide the leadership and vision for the Richmond regional innovation ecosystem with a willingness to invent, take, and manage risks and share credit for success. They helped to bring Inno to market, and we're so appreciative of their support. Williams Mullen is an event partner of ours, and we're so excited to have them be a part of Inno on Fire. They're a full-service law firm with approximately 240 attorneys and offices throughout the Mid-Atlantic. Their attorneys represent emerging companies throughout the course of their life cycle, enabling startups to focus on growth, their businesses, leaving us the legal work to implement that growth. Their services include initial formation, financings, capital raises, and follow-on investments, mergers, joint ventures, restructuring, and other growth opportunities, and acquisitions by strategic or financial buyers. Hopefully that's a lot of you guys. If you need their help, check them out. Thank you so much to Williams Mullen. And before we get to the Inno on Fire video and Blazer reveal, which is, I hope, what you guys are all here for, I wanted to give you a little more info on what Inno on Fire is and why you're here. Inno on Fire is our annual celebration of the people, companies, organizations, and ideas that are on fire in this innovation economy. We cover this space aggressively and accessibly daily, and we use Inno on Fire as our annual opportunity to showcase individuals and businesses that have had banner years and have to come to truly define the ecosystem's past 365 days. We source nominations from the community and cull our own reporting to compile the final list. We then cut together a video that we can't wait to share with you. In addition to serving as an embodiment of the year in tech and startups, this video will also reveal this year's Blazer winners who were selected by a panel of judges. Thank you to this year's judges, who are Allie Greenberg with the Broad and Lighthouse Labs, Charles Merritt, Buddy, Scott Ukrup with NRV, Brian Bassett with Simple Thread, Lauren Souls with BDO, and our very own Elise Franco with Richmond Inno. Finally, being an entrepreneur is always hard, and this year has been particularly challenging, but this wasn't a hard list to assemble. There's so many exciting things happening within the Richmond ecosystem, and it's an honor to cover it every day. Congratulations to everyone on this list, and please use this video and list as the definitive representation of everything that's going on exciting this year. Now, I wanted to introduce Elise Franco for a brief fireside chat with Chandra Briggman, CEO of Activation Capital. Thanks again to everyone for being here.
Thanks, Will, and thank you so much to Chandra for joining us today. Welcome.
Hi, Elise. How are you? Hi, Will.
So I want to start today by asking you to just explain your mission for Activation Capital's. What is your mission and your goals, and what's the direction that Activation Capital is heading?
Well, I first want to welcome everyone and congratulate the nominees. And a nice little fun fact, this is the 5th city that I've lived in, and there was an American Inno chapter. So happy to check off number 5, but congratulate also all the nominees, no matter if you win the red coat or not tonight. I think, we can all agree that entrepreneurship is hard. You have the hilltop moments and the valley moments. This is an opportunity just to pause for a minute and celebrate the milestone. The community has acknowledged the contribution, everyone on the list. So we're here to sort of help them celebrate this moment. But in terms of Activation Capital, we're in the business of helping to grow tech entrepreneurship in the state of Virginia. And today we do that in a number of different ways. We offer office and lab space to tech and life science companies in our biotech park. We also offer entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs, an opportunity to connect with mentors, like-minded entrepreneurs, funders through our events and programming. We have 2 signature events every year called Upriver and Downriver. We offer grant funds to organizations that are helping to build company business formation here in the region. That includes organizations like Lighthouse Labs, who the audience will hear from later, as well as Startup Virginia. And then finally, we're one of the organizations behind launching a new seed fund here as another opportunity. We all know funding is a big gap, is a big need in the ecosystem. And so we're looking forward to backing some of those entrepreneurs and helping them get through the scale process.
That's fantastic. So can you kind of outline your top priorities for me? And then, how do you relay those priorities and that message to your team?
Well, so I've been in and around entrepreneurship for a long time. Happy to join Activation Capital to sort of continue my personal mission, but it's, our focus and priorities around, growing entrepreneurship. So what we're looking for over the next few years is to have a larger, more connected ecosystem. And what that means is expanding and diversifying our reach. So we have a lot of online content, but we're looking to launch some digital platforms to expand our reach. Also expanding and diversifying our reach through our physical spaces. So we are, about to begin construction on a new space in addition to our 800 Lee Street property. But, I have a very simple philosophy when it comes to growing and diversifying. It's really about, the region is home to a number of different individuals with different backgrounds, different pedigrees, different life experiences. And, they're close to problems in their home and communities that they're uniquely qualified to solve. And so, our role is to make sure that if they have the interest, that they have access to our training portfolio, our spaces, the network, and also the funding to actually scale and to build and scale companies. So our priorities are really around building a larger entrepreneurial pipeline. So that's regardless of your identity, but also, Activation Capital was involved with helping to shape the biotech cluster here in Central Virginia. So the strategic question we have now is what other clusters make sense for the region? Healthcare is another strong cluster, but, there are opportunities potentially in supply chain, logistics. So we want to expand that pipeline. The other thing that I'll mention is increasing engagement in the ecosystem. A lot of our activity now is focused on the early stage entrepreneur, but there's an opportunity to also support mid-stage, late-stage organizations that are building and scaling companies. There is a tremendous opportunity to engage corporates. I've been in corporate innovation myself, and I think they provide unique value in ecosystems, successful ecosystems around the globe. So there's an opportunity for us to engage more stakeholders to really strengthen the ecosystem.
All right. And final question for you. I know COVID-19 has been on everybody's minds the last, 3 or 4 months. How has COVID really impacted the region's startup ecosystem?
Yeah. So, what I've seen here, and I've been in market for about 6 weeks, 2 months, 6 to 8 weeks, and it's not unlike what I've seen in other markets. The primary thing, there's a lot of contraction on the customer side as consumers try to preserve health and finances. So you're seeing a lot of companies not seeing the same levels of revenue. Funding has contracted, particularly hard on early stage startups who are looking for funding to get their startups off the ground. And a lot of investors are doubling down on their existing portfolio. So you're seeing that funding contract. And then also spaces have been tremendously disrupted as a result of COVID. So a lot of the spaces around town have, closed. Our space did not close because of the nature of the businesses that are operating here. But what I am happy about is the technologies like, GoToMeeting and Zoom that have actually helped us bridge that gap to ensure that entrepreneurs are still connecting, they're still knowledge sharing. And so once we're able to meet face to face, we can pick up where we left off.
Great. And actually, I do have one final question for you. This, another thing that's really been kind of in the forefront. How has Activation Capital been supporting diversity inclusion in the region? And I know you mentioned that in your response before about priorities.
So historically, Activation Capital has been very intentional about being inclusive to make sure that our application processes, reflect diverse individuals in our programming, like Lighthouse Labs and others. And as a result, 52% of the organizations in the portfolio of activity that we're engaged in has either a minority, veteran, or a woman leader. in that organization. But there's opportunity for us to do more. Like we are seeing a lot of disruption and conversation around this topic. We're in talks to launch a program targeting minorities to help them get access to the type of relationships and funding that we find very important for successful entrepreneurs. And we want to be bold with this program, particularly because we want to use that as a template for us in terms of how we support other underrepresented populations in tech ecosystems. So we've done some things in the past, but we're looking to be even more bold in the future about inclusivity and entrepreneurship.
Sounds like you guys have a lot going on, and
we do.
We really look forward to seeing how the rest of 2020 plays out for you.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for being here with us. And now is the moment that everyone's been waiting for. We're going to kick off the premiere of our 2020 Richmond on Fire video. We invite everybody to celebrate. Tweet your celebration pictures at us during the video. It's going to showcase our Inno on Fire honorees and reveal the Inno Blazer winners in each category. Again, the Blazers were selected by a panel of judges from the community as the hottest and most impactful in their category. So let's get to it. Get ready and roll that video. Richmond Inno is so excited to be able to showcase these incredible companies across Virginia's tech and startup ecosystem. So once again, a big congrats to all of our Blazer winners: Goodfynd, Health Innovation Consortium, Lighthouse Labs, Phlow Corp, Nutriati, Startup Virginia, and Ario. I'm going to kick it over now to Juan Garzon, Head of Ecosystem Development, for a conversation with some of our Blazer winners.
Awesome, thanks Elise, and congrats again to all the Blazers. It was great. It was great to see so many companies and organizations get featured, and to see a few of them who've really been exceptional this past year. So super excited to have here with me today Lemaire Stewart, the founder of Goodfynd, who was the Blazer for the tech and software category. Aaron Powell, the managing director for Lighthouse Labs, that was the education Blazer this year. And Robbie DeMaria, chief of staff for Phlow Corporation, who was the Blazer in the Crisis Innovators category. Welcome, everybody.
Thanks, Juan. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
So I'd love to go down the line and just learn a little bit more about each of your organizations, and maybe just tell us all why this was a banner year for you, why this was a Blazer year for you. So let's start with you, Aaron.
Yeah, great. Well, I wish I had the Blazer on. It's nobody really wore red today, but that's okay. We're representing anyway. But yeah, so Lighthouse Labs is the premier seed stage accelerator here in the state of Virginia, and we invest $20,000 of seed stage funding for early companies. And actually 12 of the companies that were on the list as we were going through, I was kind of tallying them off, are Lighthouse Labs alums. So we are really proud to really represent them, because our mission is to invest in the lives of founders. And personally, we think that founders are the bravest people on earth, the ones that are going out there and forging the uncharted path, blazing the trail, if you will. And so we're just happy to be able to represent that group and be able to support them.
Awesome, thanks. Lemaire, how about you? Why was this a Blazer year for Goodfynd?
Hey, so thank you for including us in this. And we are one of those Lighthouse alumni, so thank you to Lighthouse as well. And for us, 2020 has been huge because everyone knows the pandemic we're going through right now. And when that hit, we were able to make some strategic pivots that has been pivotal to our business. And since the pandemic hit, we started growing revenue as a company, and it's just been increasing month after month at a decent rate since then. So we're just looking to keep that going for the rest of this year.
Awesome. And Robbie, how about you guys at Phlow Corp? Why was this a Blazer year for you?
Yeah, thank you so much, and we are so thrilled to receive this, the Red Blazer. And yeah, it's been a tremendous and definitely on fire year for Phlow Corporation. You know, our mission is to reliably supply affordable, high quality essential medicines through US-based manufacturing processes. And if anything, during these times, coronavirus has proven to us is that, you know, the 160 to 210, depending on what day it is, drugs that are on the shortage list, they're critical to supporting patients that are going through and having to deal with this virus right now. And we need to really build up and establish that system here in the United States so that we can support those patients. So, you know, we had to pivot a little bit early this year due to that. We started out in pediatrics, and I'm very excited to you know, continue down that path. But you know, having gone through the contract process and being asked by the federal government, HHS, to support the nation's efforts to combat this this pandemic has been thrilling, and it's even better that we're doing it here in Richmond and in Petersburg.
Yeah, no, that's great. So, you know, a couple mentions about COVID, you know, the pandemic and how you're dealing with that. What are some, I mean, this has been a year of unique challenges. What are some of the unique challenges that your organizations, that your companies specifically had seen, and how did you overcome that? And I'd like to start with Lemaire. You mentioned some challenges that you guys dealt with.
Yeah, so the core of our business is really partnering with food trucks and finding them opportunities as small businesses to keep their business going and operate more efficiently. So, you know, before the pandemic, we were partnering with like corporate offices and residential spaces, and then individuals, and you know, those who needed a food truck for their events we would help source that for them, and then we would send a food truck out to serve. So when the pandemic hit, and because everyone is stuck at home now, we shifted our focus primarily to residential communities. So apartment communities, HOAs primarily, they'll get food trucks out on a weekly basis. And then those trucks use our ordering system to accept orders online a week ahead of time, which helps with the social distancing and contactless payments. So that has been huge for not only getting customers food at their residence right now, because we do meet customers where they're at, no matter if it's at home or work or whatever the case may be. And then it's also been vital in helping these small businesses keep going during these trying times. So many of them were going out of business or just stopping temporarily, and our platform has enabled many of them to continue operating. So that's huge.
Great. Aaron, how about Lighthouse Labs? Have you guys had any specific challenges this year that you guys have been able to overcome that you can share with us?
Yeah, well, like most of the people on the phone, we were not used to being in a virtual environment. So as you all saw through the video, all of our interaction in the past has been in person, and there's really been a secret sauce of sorts that happens between the founders, each other, the founders that share the cohort attendance, the mentors. And so when COVID hit, we really had to figure out how we could replicate that virtually. And one of the things we decided to do in April was to kind of flip our strategy upside down. And instead of saying, look, we're typically very exclusive about who we accept into the program, let's flip the script and be really inclusive and accept everyone. And so we were really excited to have over 103 attendees in the programming that we ran in June at the beginning of the summer. And we selected 7 of those companies to continue on with us for another 4 weeks. So that was something new and different that we hadn't done before. And, we sent an email out today. Our program concludes tomorrow, and we were really just reflecting on how many connections people were able to still draw in a virtual environment. And Lighthouse is not unique in that challenge, right? We're all challenged with the 2D world and we continue to connect. And some people think that it's easier because you're not having to spend time commuting and you can connect with people much more easily at home. And of course, others are facing the obvious challenges that working from home or being at home working, as someone put it to me the other day, if there's a distinction there that faces. But really proud of our team and the fact that we were able to extend our offering and reach more people due to the pandemic, especially right now when founders need it more than ever.
Fantastic. Robbie, how about you? What challenges do you think Phlow has faced this year, and how did you guys overcome them?
Yeah, that's the unfortunate part about going last. It seems like I'm just going to piggyback, but I'll say first, obviously the virtual work has been incredibly difficult as we are pivoting or growing, especially in our commercial side. Having the group together, technology works to a degree, but a lot of times just those interactions that happen, when you're grabbing coffee are really vital. On the other flip side of it is really more or less the education side. So many Americans do not realize that the medications that they rely on are predominantly sourced overseas, and global economies are important, and we support a global supply chain. But during a pandemic or a natural disaster, if there's ever disruption in that supply chain, those medications that you expect for your children and your families, when those are cut off, it's a real concern. It's a real concern for ourselves and our national security. And so I think educating folks, policymakers, government officials, but even the consumers just on where your medications are manufactured, and knowing that you have a diverse supply chain to ensure that when there is disruption that it doesn't directly affect you and your family.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. I do want to remind everybody that if you have any questions for anybody on the panel, you want to learn more about Phlow or Goodfynd or Lighthouse Labs, go ahead and submit that in the Q&A section, and we're going to try to get to as many questions as we can. So I want to jump back to you, Aaron, and let's talk about the future. What does the rest of 2020 or maybe going into 2021, right? What do you think that looks like? And I say think because right now we live in a time where nobody knows what tomorrow is going to bring. So, but what are you guys planning on for the future of Lighthouse Labs?
Yeah, well, I came on to Lighthouse in April, so I'm relatively new to not the entrepreneurial scene, but the Lighthouse scene. And there were plans in place that were pretty serendipitous to what was going on, to partner with the Health Innovation Consortium, to partner with VCU Health to offer an industry-focused healthcare cohort for the fall. And so we've done in the past cohorts focused on education technologies. Again, another really timely industry right now with everybody at home becoming parents or being parents, but also becoming teachers. So in the fall, we're really excited to launch our first ever healthcare cohort. So we've been interviewing teams. We've got just so many interests, and the digital environment really has opened up that footprint as well for folks that are interested in coming in and being a part of the cohort. So we will be announcing that at the beginning of August, the folks that were accepted to that cohort. So really, really excited to be able to execute on that this year. In terms of going into the next year, I think providing more pathways for entrepreneurs to be able to get resources. I think if history repeats itself, there will be more companies created now in an economic downturn than there are when the economy is good. And organizations, nonprofits like Lighthouse, organizations like Activation Capital, organizations like Startup Virginia, all of us are needed now more than ever to be able to support these entrepreneurs, because as a society, we need this, with high unemployment rates. If there's not work for people to go back to, then we're dependent upon new companies to be created. And so I think the future is really exciting, for new company creation going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of problems out there to be solved, and a lot of really smart innovators out there ready to solve them. So I love that. I love that. Robbie, how about you guys on the private company side? What are you guys looking at towards the future to I don't know, any new directions or anything like that you guys have planned?
Yeah, I mean, 2021 is going to be about economic growth and connectivity. So, we are really excited to have, again, the BARDA contract back in May, but really the commercial and specifically the pediatric side to the medication shortages is really where we are looking to put our focus. And so as we continue to execute on that contract, we are simultaneously getting back to executing on the commercial side. And then the connectivity is that, like, look, we all have been to conferences and we all did these things, and we would go out at night, and they started to get old and tired. And now, after you're going to spend a year in quarantine, 2021 is going to be so exciting to get together and celebrate in person and share ideas. Richmond is full of innovation and technology, and we were right in our stride before COVID-19. And so I just ask that all of our partners and those in the ecosystem just hold tight, keep working hard, because 2021 is going to be a lot of fun.
Great, awesome. Lemaire, how about you guys? What's the rest of 2020 or 2021? What do you think that's going to look like for you?
Sure. So for us, one of our biggest challenges right now is really keeping up with the new demand for our company, our product, which is a good problem to have, but with a small team,
not a bad problem to have.
Not at all. But with a small team, it does challenge us in a way that in any given month, we kind of have to make a decision whether to focus on like product improvements or sales. So one of our main focus right now is to raise our first round of funding to be able to really diversify our focus. And then for the rest of the year, we're just looking to increase our stake in the DC, Maryland, and Virginia markets, and kind of generating that expansion plan to really take this throughout the US.
Yeah, awesome. So Robbie, I want to jump back to you real quick, because you mentioned sort of, how Richmond was poised for the future. And I'd like to ask all three of you about the RVA community as a whole. How do you think it's doing? What challenges has the community, the entire ecosystem, had this year? And how are we looking to overcome it? And Robbie, I'll start with you.
Yeah. No, I think that Richmond's, technology and innovation community, as I mentioned, I think we're hitting its stride, and was in a really good place. But I know now that a number of the gathering places that we've used for some of our technology and entrepreneurial forums and focuses are going out of business or possibly not coming back online, and so we're gonna have to be extremely thoughtful on how we make sure that we engage those individuals and engage those conversations, and really make sure that we continue to hit hard on diversity and thought. It's something that we've been, I think, as a community doing an exceptional job of, especially in the innovation and technology community. And we just need to have a very purposeful focus on that in 21, especially after all the things that we've been going through as a community here in Richmond the past several weeks and months.
Great. Lemaire, how about you? And any thoughts on how the ecosystem is doing?
The startup ecosystem, I think, has been pretty cool since this pandemic hit. Like, it seems like all around the country, probably the world, like everyone is coming together and like sharing knowledge. All the different webinars, being that everything is remote and online now, we've been able to take advantage of a lot of that and really learn some of these new topics that are vital to our success as a startup. So I think that's the biggest thing, and just coming together and helping everyone with this shift. Like, as a community, the only way we're gonna get through this time is together. So that has been most relevant to me.
Yeah. Aaron, you're obviously looking at this from a multi-company perspective. How do you think RVA is doing, and what are the challenges that the ecosystem as a whole has been overcoming or needs to overcome?
Yeah, well, Chandra alluded to this a few minutes ago in the fireside chat, but sales typically solve all problems in business. And when you're in an environment where you're seeing sales contracting or you're seeing investment contracting, you do have to pull together and get creative. And one of the things I've been most impressed with that we've seen across not only our portfolio companies, but just business owners in Richmond in general, has been the adaptation and the maniacal focus on the customer. And I think if you really peel back the onion to, look at some of the most successful businesses, they've been really customer centric and really customer focused, and making sure that they're creating products that are easy for customers to use, improve the customer experience, improve the customers' lives. And, that's what I'm seeing across the board, whether it's a restaurant in Richmond that, might have been historically antiquated, and maybe they're utilizing a technology or a totally different strategy offered through a company like Goodfynd, or whether it's a technology company that was focused in hospitality that might have to pivot because a lot of hospitality events aren't happening right now. And all of these pivots are happening through that customer discovery, going back to the customers, asking them questions, and changing really, really, really quickly. I mean, I think we're seeing large companies, medium-sized companies changing much faster and acting more like entrepreneurs and acting more innovative than maybe they have been in the past. And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. Of course, it's presented challenges, and I'm sure people have made mistakes along the way. But I think that there's certainly learnings that are coming out of this.
Yeah, no, that's great. It's funny because I was just talking to another founder this morning, and I've been hearing this echoed. Now is the time to double down on customer experience, getting to understand your customers' needs and pain points, because A, they've got a lot of pain points right now. And B, that's who's going to survive. It's the companies that really understand their customer inside and out and are solving those pains. So I think that's a great point. Well, look, I love the optimism, right, and everything that's going on. I did have a question here that's maybe brings a slight dose of reality, and that is, what happens if COVID continues to impact the economy into 2021? How are you guys doing worst case scenario planning, or are you doing any worst case scenario planning? And maybe I'll throw that back to Lemaire.
For us, fortunately for us, I don't necessarily see it as like a worst case scenario or best case. I think there's ways for our business to operate no matter which way it goes. So we're just using this time to really learn our customers, learn the new shift in the world and how we can shift our product to fit that model. And then, we'll just take that into next year or as long as, this process continues or this time continues.
Yeah, great. Robbie?
Yeah, if the pandemic continues into 2021 in deeply, I think that, the company itself will be ready to fight it in producing medications. But, I think that we also are in a relatively good place right now, figuring out what's working and what's not working for the teams when it comes to virtual work and some, in-person work. I think as a whole, again, and this is kind of going off of Aaron's comments as well, but during the Great Recession, we saw some of our most innovative and thoughtful entrepreneurial companies born during that time. And there's a full generation that might have had an idea that of what was going to be lined up for them when they got out of school that now is no longer there for them, and they're going to turn towards their innovative side and their entrepreneurial side to figure out how to make it work and do it right. And we're going to see that here in Virginia and in Richmond specifically, which is very exciting. So I think that overall, we'll be good, and so will Richmond.
Well, maybe let's
negative turn into a positive.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if thinking of some of the founders who are watching now, let's say they have a business that maybe is doing okay now, but if this continues into the next year, there might be some questions. Any advice on how to do worst case scenario planning, or just advice on what they could be doing right now to worry a little bit about the unknown, worry a little less about the unknown in the future? I'll open that up
Cash is
to
king, right? I mean, making sure that your financial planning, that you're doing it and you're paying attention to it. I mean, I know a lot of our portfolio companies, they look at financial planning on an annual basis, and now they're telling us, okay, look, we're having to go back and look at this much more frequently. I think the digital environment poses an opportunity for us to not use as much funding on, travel and entertainment and things that we might have had to use funding for in the past, so that could present an opportunity to sock some cash away and save it for a rainy day or a sunny day. One of our portfolio companies in the summer is called Sunny Day Fund, so flipping that on its head. But certainly, I think there's an opportunity to do some planning right now just in case. But continue to have this optimistic spirit that both Lemaire and Robbie mentioned. I think that's the beauty of entrepreneurs, right? They don't see the rainy day. So, if there's just 10% of that planning that can be done for a rainy day right now, it might pay off in the future.
Yeah, and I think that, this is a 100-year pandemic. If we're all being truthful, nobody knows how to plan for this or how to respond to this. And as Lemaire said early on, if you haven't joined a network, join one, find other founders, share best practices, share ideas on how to plan for that, because none of us, those that have been successful in the past or those that will be successful in the future, have ever had to face what we're facing right now. And God forbid we'll ever have to face it, I guess, in the next 100 years. So,
Yeah, I pretty much agree with all of that. I think the biggest thing for us has been really not being married to our idea or our original idea, and really listening to the market and customers, and just doing even more customer interviews now. The perspective is going to be different given the time, and then you may learn different strategic pivots you can make to help combat this situation.
Yeah, I love that, not being married to your idea. It's one of the probably the most consistently effective advice that a lot of founders I hear sort of say that they've heard, and that's fall in love with your customer and the pain that you're solving, and not with your idea. It just keeps you flexible and really gets you to focus on what really matters, and ultimately gets that revenue, right? Cash is king. So definitely good advice. So I did have a question here come in from George. Where would an entrepreneur with a great idea and a good business plan to help struggling small and medium-sized retail businesses go looking for initial funding in this environment? So back to the funding thing, I know that comes up a lot. Any thoughts on where they might go for initial funding right now?
Yeah, I'll chime in here. I mean, it depends on the stage of the business, obviously, but friends and family, even doing some you know, early stage Kickstarters, or, you know, just trying to get some money to get an MVP out, you know, is always recommended. And I think especially in an environment like this, you know, you don't want to go out and do a big fundraising round just to prove out an idea. You know, you'd rather get a little bit of money, build out a prototype, you know, and there are lots of organizations here in Richmond that can help with prototype building if you're looking to, you know, build out a prototype for a technology company. Builder is one of those. Simple Thread is one of those. There are resources as well through Startup Virginia that can be accessed to just, you know, get a little bit of money and get that early prototype out there, because that's when you really start to learn and when you're able to start to have some of those customer conversations. And a lot of times if you do, you know, an early stage friends and family type round, those can be some of your best customers, especially if it's a problem that you're solving that is specifically, you know, for them. And if they put a little bit of skin in the game, a little bit of money, they're going to be your biggest fans and sing your praises if it is a company that you decide to launch.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks. One of the things that is so important for an ecosystem is really to have that, and Robbie, I think you mentioned it, kind of the camaraderie between entrepreneurs, or the connection between founders sort of sharing their best practices and ideas. How are you all staying connected with other entrepreneurs, not just sort of your own teams, now that we're in this remote environment, right? You don't have the events that you can just sort of see the usual suspects at going on live anymore.
I just recently started doing again some distant coffees, you know, getting together, but socially distant. But to be honest, it's been hard. I think that that all founders, all Virginians, all Richmonders, we've been in quarantine for months now, and we're just starting to peer out and you know, doing the best that we can. And again, the technology is helpful. I've done way more Teams, GoToMeetings, Zoom calls in the past several weeks than I've done probably in my entire career. And so,
yeah.
You know, I think we're doing it, but I'm looking forward to again some physical connection, just 6 feet apart.
Lemaire, Aaron, how are you guys staying connected with people outside of your teams remotely? How's it working out for you?
Yeah, so personally, I know a good amount of founders from the accelerators we participated in, as well as meetups throughout the area. And so, you know, I'll constantly check in, share ideas, share challenges, like one-on-one, whether it's Slack, WhatsApp, you know, all the different communication tools we have. And then one big thing, we're a part of an entrepreneurial group where we meet like every 3 weeks, kind of like a round table, and everyone can kind of put their issues on the table or challenges, and we'll kind of discuss it as a team or as a group. And then that has been really helpful, and it's people going through a journey, a similar journey. So that's been really beneficial in kind of sharing our stories and progress.
Awesome. And Aaron, are you guys doing anything to help you know, cohort companies connect with each other and stay connected during this time?
Yeah, we've launched a couple of alumni luncheons, and you know, to Lemaire's point, it's a round table, and you know, alumni are coming in. And the first one that we did, we actually took a little bit of a different take on it, and we sent everybody a Grubhub gift card. And so they ordered Grubhub, and then you know, got on the Zoom call with their lunch. And so that one was really popular, I think, because we footed the bill for the lunch. So, you know, we had a lot of people show up for that one. The other thing I would recommend is just getting outside. I mean, obviously our mental and physical health is really important right now. And, you know, you'd be surprised. I ran into Shane Emmett, the founder of Health Warrior, yesterday. I was outside and he was on a run, and we were down by 17-17. So, you know, people are, to Robbie's point, slowly starting to get back out. And if you have a bike and you try to get your bike repaired right now, be ready for a 3 to 4 week wait list on getting your bike repaired. But, you know, I do think as people start to venture out, you're safely socially distancing and bumping into people as they're exercising and taking care of their physical and mental health too.
Yeah, trying to buy a bike right now is just about impossible. I can tell you that from personal experience. Well, I do want to remind everybody, if you haven't seen it in the chat, and now that we're talking about staying connected, we're actually going to try something new. We're going to have a post webinar Zoom call where we're all going to go around, kind of get to say hello. And if you look in the chat box right there on the side of your screen, or maybe it's on this side, there's the link, the meeting ID and the password are right there, so we can all hop on. Hopefully, Robbie, Lemire, Aaron, you guys can join us. People can kind of ask some questions directly, get your contact info, whatever that might be, here in just a few minutes. So I did want to throw that out there. So I do want to go around and see if you've got any sort of piece of advice, sort of a last recommendation for entrepreneurs, right, who are watching, who are going through some of these same challenges. Any words of wisdom or piece of advice that you want to leave them with?
I guess I could start. I know Aaron talked a lot about customer discovery, knowing your customers. So that's the biggest thing for us, is collecting as much data on customers and doing interviews and analytics as possible, so that it really helps drive our business decisions and, you know, what we should focus on in the upcoming week, month, year. So as much data as you can collect and customers as you could talk to, it really helps improve the product. And then customers really take notice of that and see that you're listening to them, you're making the changes they ask for, and it can help a lot with retention.
Use this time for more customer discovery, more customer connection. Great advice. Robbie or Aaron, any parting words?
Sorry, yeah, no, I just to again to hang in there, that you know, this is a trying time for everybody, and Richmond is a special place, and the founders here in the area are special people as well, and we're just thrilled at Phlow to have been among all of the finalists. Watching that video was spectacular, and we really thank you, and very proud, and can't wait to get the Blazer in hand and have a lot of fun with it.
Awesome. Thanks, Robbie. And
yeah,
Aaron,
the last parting words of advice I would have is that as an entrepreneur, you are developing skills that, you know, you wouldn't develop in any other segment of business, such a diverse range of skill sets. And so have confidence knowing that even if it doesn't work out for your entrepreneurial endeavor, those skills that you've earned are really valuable. And, you know, just keep earning those, keep turning over the stones every single day. You know, if you turn one over and there's nothing under there, turn over another one. And, you know, the grit and the intentionality that we see the entrepreneurs face, that's really supported in the community. And talk about the wins and talk about the losses too, you know, because we're all, that means you're making progress, right? The losses aren't necessarily a loss. You're continuing to move forward and advance your cause. So we're thrilled to be here too, to represent so many of the companies that were on the list and so many of the people that are blazing the trail. None of us would be here if it wasn't for the entrepreneurs in our community.
yeah, no, fantastic. And I do have one final question for all of you, and that is, how are you planning on celebrating your Blazer win? Is anybody having any virtual toasts or anything like that?
Well, one, I mentioned that I wish that I had worn mine, although I will say we now have all female leadership at Lighthouse, and the Blazer is a man's Blazer. So we might have to do some design and, you know, maybe have a little design competition for the female version of the red Blazer.
Very good. Yes, very good.
That's awesome. We're moving into new space in the next couple weeks, and so we've already planned a. Hopefully, when we get the Blazer, we'll be able to wear it around the new office and announce our space and celebrate our win as well.
Fantastic.
Yeah, likewise for us. Our team has mostly been remote throughout this whole process. So today we were actually able to get together for a bit. So, you know, we'll get a bite to eat, celebrate, kind of reflect, take our mind off Goodfynd for a bit, and just enjoy the moment and figure out how we can get some more wins like this.
Awesome. Awesome. Lemaire, Robbie, Aaron, thank you guys so much for being on this panel and for sharing your thoughts and words of wisdom with us all. Congrats again on your Blazer win. And thanks to everybody else out there who's on here for being here, for watching the video, for helping to celebrate all of the Inno Fire winners and Blazers. Congrats to you all. You can learn more about the program and about the winners on the website at richmondinno.com. We also want to remind everybody that we've been sort of ramping up our expansion here because we're in multiple markets. And as we've learned by being in multiple markets, whether it's in here in Richmond or in DC, Atlanta, Chicago, Boston, anywhere that we are, once we start to work with people like our panelists today in the local community, we start to really build this network. And if we could ever be of any value to any of you, so you are a blockchain company here and you're trying to connect with blockchain companies in Boston, or you are in AI here and you're looking for an AI company in Tampa Bay, let us know, because we are happy to make that connection and go beyond just the events, the stories, the articles, everything that we do on the website. We're also happy to make those connections and provide any value that we can. So please be sure to sign up for the newsletter if you're not already signed on. Take a look at the companies that we're profiling, and hop on some of our partner, our market sites, and see if there's anybody else that you want to get connected with. We also want to end with a big thank you to our amazing founding partners, BDO and Activation Capital, as well as our event sponsor, Williams Mullen. You can check them out. We've got information in our handouts there, and we really appreciate the support that they have given and that many of you have given to the community. And last but not least, don't forget, we're hopping on Zoom here in just a minute. So we look forward to seeing you all there, either on the Zoom call, at our next Inno event, or out in the community. So with that, we're gonna wrap this up. And thanks again, guys, for being great panelists. Thank you all for being amazing companies and people in the ecosystem. We look forward to seeing you at the next event.
Sign up for Goodfynd when you're hungry.
Yeah, there we go.
And sign up for Goodfynd. Thanks all.
Thank you, Juan.